Hello, my name is John Smith, and welcome to the Psalming Effect. I'm speaking to you and recording this for this week, which is March the 28th, 2022. And I would like to share with you some thoughts from Psalm 46. You know, there's a phrase in this psalm that keeps haunting me. Actually, that's a poor choice of words. It's not haunting me, but it's calling to me. It keeps speaking to me over and over again, and so I want to share this. I've shared from this psalm a number of times, earlier parts, but I want to look at verses 8 through 10. Come behold the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolations on the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Well, unless you're living under a rock, I'm sure you're aware that there's war going on in our world. And this is not something new. There's a war going on that, of course, is capturing all of the images on the news and is online everywhere. But this is not like the world is at war for the first time. In fact, I would guarantee that you could take any time frame from human history, any time frame from human history, and you would find that there is a war going on somewhere in the world. It just seems to be part of our nature. It's part of our fleshly, fallen, broken human way of selfishness and wickedness that we need to be rescued from. And it has plagued human history from the beginning of time. If you read from the book of Genesis, the children of Adam and Eve, Cain picks up a rock and turns it into a weapon and murders his brother Abel. And that's just the beginning. And as you read through every period of history, the history of humanity, it is marred and scarred with warfare. Well, I think it's interesting and important for us to recognize and to see that war is something that comes from the choices of human beings, from their fleshly, selfish desire for power and wealth, from their self-centeredness, and is not the will of God. And in fact, this psalm says he makes war cease to the end of the earth. That's verse 9 from Psalm 46. And so we need to recognize that this warfare that goes on through human history, God is intending to bring it to an end, and he will. Ultimately, he has set a day of judgment, a day of reckoning, when all of the injustices and all of the wickedness and all of the things that we've fought, wars, and the fact that we've fought wars, all of those things will come to an end. And what will remain will be the kingdom of Jesus Christ, his Son. I would have to read a lot of verses from other parts of the Bible to bring all of that in with the undergirding of some scripture, but I just want to lean in heavy on this verse from Psalm 46. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. And I want you to think about this. You know, when some people see that statement, they think, oh, really? Because a lot has been made out of the fact that wars have been fought over religion in periods of history. people have declared holy wars. And some would even look at the Old Testament itself and say, well, didn't God cause a lot of the wars that happen in Scripture? Wars are made by the decision of rulers. God uses human beings, even in their wickedness, even in their waywardness, even in their bad choices, to bring about his will. God demonstrated that in many ways throughout the Scriptures. I think the ultimate demonstration of that is in Jesus Christ. God didn't make Judas Iscariot betray Jesus into the hands of those who determined to put Jesus to death and shouted, crucify him, and then turned him over to the authorities who nailed him to a cross. God didn't make anybody do that. Human beings made choices. And because of their wickedness, because of their greed, because of their selfishness, because of their pride, because of their fallenness from the image of God in which God designed humanity, but human beings have fallen from that and are susceptible to sin. Because of that sinfulness, human beings make wrong choices, and a whole bunch of human beings made some very wicked choices. The Roman soldiers, the Jewish religious leaders, all of them, and they nailed Jesus to the cross. But what did God do with that? God used that sacrifice of an innocent, sinless human life, human and divine. He was the Son of God, but he came in human flesh, and in human flesh, sinlessly, sacrificed his life on the cross of Calvary. See, God takes what is broken and is wrong, and he turns it into justice and goodness and righteousness. He brings about his will despite all of our choices. And the other thing that I want you to reflect on is this: when you think about war, why do we feel so opposed and so indignant about the atrocities of war? Why do we feel that way? Why do we have a conscience about it? You know, when children's lives are lost, when innocent people are slaughtered, when injustices are committed and atrocities are committed, why do we not feel a sense of, well, this is terrible, this should, why do we feel that? We do feel that, right? Why do we feel that way? Why do we think that there's a right and a wrong when a war breaks out? I often say that nobody wins a war, and I'm not sure that anybody's on the right side when war breaks out. But why do I feel, and why do all of us feel, a conscience about war, a conscience about injustice, a conscience about somebody powerful taking something away from someone else at the cost of innocent lives? We only feel that way because there's a God. You know, I'm speaking to the atheist right now. If there is no God, what's wrong with that? Like, if I have enough power and I want to get something that someone else has, whatever it is, and I have enough weapons, or I have enough strength, I have enough ability, I have enough cunning to take it from them, for me, even at the cost of their lives or at the cost of other people's lives, if I manage to do that and get away with it and have the power to keep it, and no one can stop me, what makes that wrong? If I'm just an animal and there is no such thing as right and wrong, I'm not made in the image of God, what is sinful about that? What is sinful about going to war or stealing or murdering or any of the other things that we could think of there. Oppressing children, taking advantage of other people, taking their lives, stealing what's not ours. Why are those things wrong? They're wrong because there's a God that has given us a conscience about those things. We are more than just an animal. We are a being that's fashioned in the image of God. And God intends to bring out the best in us. That's his eternal plan. That's what his eternal kingdom is about. And this verse reminds me whenever I see on the news, and you can't ignore the news about war, even when the wars that are going on now end, they will come again. They will come wave after wave in human history because of our sinfulness and our selfishness. But he makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. That's the faith that we have as Christians, as followers of Christ and as believers in God. So what do we do about this war? What are we called to do? Well, I don't know what your personal calling is. I know this, though. There's a lot in Scripture about us helping the oppressed and those who are suffering, and showing the love of God and giving them hope. So we need to bring them a message of hope. We always need to be doing that. But right now there needs to be more than words. We need to send relief. We need to try and address people who are suffering, people who've lost everything, people who are displaced. We need to get involved somehow. And I don't know what the opportunities are for you where you live, but we need to explore them. We here in Weyburn have thought about this and are looking for a way to try and help those who've been victimized by this. So we want to offer some practical help and some service. And we also want to hold forth the message of Jesus Christ about his kingdom and about the eternal outcome of all things. The invitation that he gives us to be a part of his kingdom and to put our faith in the God who makes wars cease to the end of the earth. Oh, we need to hold up that message today as much as ever. And remember that God's grace is for you in 2022.